Right, let's bring you an update, of course, now from the sports desk, where South Africa is still finding its feet in the world of motorsport. Motorbike racing is attracting a lot more attention now, thanks to the likes of Brad Binder's successes in MotoGP. The sport, of course, was primarily seen as a white-dominated sport, but there is growing interest from people of color as well, with that interest now going as far as team ownership. Lumi Ducati is the first and only black-owned superbike team in the world, and the team come off successful competition at Gqeberha last month. The rider, Themba Khumalo, was involved in the MRSSA Championship, and he joins me now, together with the team owner, Siphiwe Tom. A very good morning to you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming through, for making the time this morning to chat about this. Incredibly significant, incredibly important in terms of representation, because there will be that young black boy who's watching and thinking, oh, okay, so there is more to life than just itiski, ne rugby, ne cricket. I can actually get on two wheels and make a career for myself. Themba, I'm going to start with you. Let's talk about the reason why there's those beautiful pieces of silverware right there on the table. I mean, how did that come about?
It's a long and interesting journey.
Yeah.
But I was one of those young boys. In 2007, I saw a MotoGP race playing on TV. And I don't know why it caught me. And I said, I want to be one of those guys. And that got me onto the journey to start racing. I've been racing since 2008. And I had to stop a couple of years ago due to shortage of funding. But thanks to Lumi Ducati Racing, I'm back and looking to bring more of those and make history. That's
absolutely beautiful, man. Like you, Siphiwe, have allowed him to dream again, you know? You're allowing young South African boys and even girls to dream as well, you know, by providing a platform, providing a racing team that we can only but hope will grow beyond the South African borders. Just when you made that decision, you know, you and I would imagine it's you and a team, you know, when you guys made that decision that this is what you're going to do, especially considering that it's an expensive sport. He had to stop for about 7 years, I think it was, for about 7 years, because it's an expensive sport. It's not cheap. Why did you make that decision?
Thanks, Morena, for having us. I think I met Themba on some of the races. I raced socially, and when I inquired, one of the reasons that he stopped racing, I found out from another racer was due to lack of funding. And I'd always wanted to have a team. I started racing late. So the idea of Lumi Racing came out of that we create opportunities, that we do not lose racers along the way just because there's no support.
And now here we are. You have a team. You know, he's part of the team. It's bringing silverware already, you know, in the MRSSA Championship. Just talk to me about the significance of representation in terms of team ownership. You're the first black-owned superbike team in the world. You know, you had actually asked me, just try and fact-check, is that you are the first and only black-owned superbike team in the world. That speaks a lot to representation. Just talk to me about the significance of that.
So it's important, Morena, but I wasn't aware that in the world. I was aware in South Africa because I mean I go to the track, I see the other riders, and for us it's honestly about creating the opportunity. There are a lot of young black riders under the age of 14. We are in talks with another rider who's also very successful, and I mean what we are looking at is having a black rider in the podium, and we also long-term want to send a rider overseas to represent South Africa.
Is that where you're looking as a rider? You know, I mean, it's 7 years that you need to, you know, essentially catch up on. The circuit's probably different now compared to where you were 7 years ago. But is that where you are setting your sights? That it's not just a MotoGP race you're watching on TV, but that it's you in that MotoGP race that we are watching on our TVs?
100% right. As long as I can remember, the dream has always been MotoGP. You know, growing up with racing alongside guys like Brad, it really made me realize that it's possible. It can be a reality. You know, when I started racing, I was the only black person at the track who wasn't, you know, there to work or who was a cleaner or something like that. And as I've grown, I've been able to make my mark. And then it became very important for me to say, okay, where does this go? So I would like to get back to racing in Europe because I have previous experience racing there. I want to get there and trailblaze, open the path for a lot of the talented youngsters that are coming through the ranks. There's quite a few guys that I coach as well, some already racing overseas. So the idea is to bring the next generation of African racers. You know, when I look at Lewis Hamilton, I see myself but on 4 wheels instead of 2. So what I'd love to see is African world champions, you know, riders of African descent, African heritage, to join the ranks of the Binders up there. And my hope is that through Lumi, we can come together, bring my vision as a racer, Siphiwe's vision as a racer, but also as an owner, as a supporter, as a manager, to collectively combine those visions to have African world champions.
The difficulties of being a team owner of a superbike. Just talk to me about that. What challenges have you come across so far?
It's mostly funding, but we've been fortunate. I mean, Ducati South Africa has been very kind to us. There's other companies like Freckle Eyewear, Sigba Capital, that have already started contributing towards our vision.
And just the challenges of a young black rider. You know, you talk about how when you shot onto the scene, you were not one of the cleaners, one of the workers, you know, on the circuit. You were a rider. And I would imagine that it comes with a sense of, you know, like some eyes from those that have probably never experienced a black rider to say, what is he doing here? It's almost as if you don't belong, you know, because some sports are still very much gate-kept. You know, just the challenges of a black rider trying to make his mark in a sport that has been predominantly white.
There's been a variety of challenges. You know, I've experienced explicit racism, you know, before at the track, but it's a very open environment. 99.9% of the people you meet at the track are very helpful, welcoming. But coming in as a black person, you do feel that cultural difference. You know, sometimes it's just the smaller thing of it's only me, you know, who's here. There's no one else to relate to the experience. So one thing I love about motorsports is that we all come, when we get on the track, everyone's the same. You know, you just go, give it your best shot. So there has been challenges, but I prefer to focus on the opportunities that has been created, the opportunities that I've been given. You know, I've gotten to travel the world as a teenager. I speak fluent Spanish, getting Italian as well. So it's difficult to speak about the challenges because it's summing up 10 years of experience. But what we want to do is to make the space more comfortable for people of all colors, and in particular black people, to come to the track, because I've had so many people say, Themba, I feel comfortable to be here because I saw you on the track. So it's taking my advantage of getting in as a youth, not having to worry about all the other factors, to say, hey guys, look, we're doing it, we're succeeding.
And it can be done.
Please come join us.
Absolutely beautiful. And I want to say to you, thank you for doing this, for opening the door to black young boys. You know, my son can dream one day, maybe, if he wants to do this. So thank you to you and the guys that you're doing this with, you know, because I would imagine it's not a Lone Ranger type of effort. And all the best with everything that you're trying to do in terms of your riding as well as your coaching. May there be more Themba Khumalos that are not only just, you know, at the MRSSA, but as well as MotoGP. Gentlemen, I wish we had a whole lot more time, but this we probably won't be the only conversation we have. So thank you very much for making the time to come through to just chat to us about this. Of course, that is Siphiwe Tom, of course, who is the team principal, team owner of Lumi Ducati, as well as the man that is riding and is already bringing in some success. That is Themba Khumalo. Of course, he's the rider of Lumi Ducati, just joining us to chat about the significance of what it is Lumi Ducati is trying to do for the young black riders.